The blue light from Eliza Winter's neural interface cast an eerie glow on her face. The scars that ran down her left cheek looked deeper in this light. She stared at the message for a long time, not wanting to believe what she was reading. After 8 years of fighting the Meridian Swarm, Eliza had earned her rest. The war had taken almost everything from her. Her right arm was now cybernetic from the elbow down. Her left eye had been replaced with a military-grade scanner. Parts of her chest and spine were reinforced with metal and synthetic tissue. She was more machine than woman some days. The message blinked, demanding her attention. It was a direct order from Fleet Command. They wanted her on the diplomatic ship Starlight Envoy by tomorrow morning. "Peace talks," Eliza said to the empty room of her small apartment. What a joke. She had seen what the Meridians could do. Their ships had torn through Earth's defenses like they were nothing. Their weapons turned people inside out. The screams of her fellow soldiers still woke her up at night covered in sweat. Eliza walked to the window and looked out at the rebuilt city. New Angeles was one of the few Earth cities that had recovered well after the first wave of attacks. The tall buildings shone in the setting sun. People walked below, going about their lives as if alien monsters weren't waiting in the darkness of space. Her neural interface beeped again. A hologram appeared in the center of her room. It was Admiral Harris, her expression serious as always. "Lieutenant Winters," the Admiral said. "Did you receive your orders?" "Yes, ma'am," Eliza replied, standing straighter by habit. "But I don't understand why you need me. I'm a soldier, not a diplomat." "That's exactly why we need you," Admiral Harris said. "You understand the Meridian language and culture better than most, and you face them in battle. You know how they think." Eliza frowned. "With respect, Admiral, I know how they kill. That's different." The Meridian representative specifically asked for someone who understood warfare. The Admiral continued as if Eliza hadn't spoken. "They asked for you by name." A cold feeling spread through Eliza's stomach. "By name? How would they know my name?" The Admiral's hologram flickered slightly. "That's part of what makes this interesting, Lieutenant. Report to Docking Bay 14 at 0700 hours. The Starlight Envoy leaves with or without you." The hologram disappeared, leaving Eliza alone with her thoughts. How could the Meridians know her? She had been careful after what happened on Proxima Station. She had buried that part of her past deep. That night, Eliza couldn't sleep. She sat cleaning her service pistol, a habit that usually calmed her. Not tonight. Tonight, her mind kept going back to Proxima Station, to the scout ship she had found crashed on the dark side of the moon, to what she had done. "They can't know," she whispered to herself. "Everyone who knew is dead." Morning came too quickly. Eliza packed her few belongings in a standard military duffel bag. She dressed in her formal uniform, the dark blue fabric, still fitting perfectly despite the years. The medals on her chest felt heavy. Each one represented a battle, a scar, a nightmare. The trip to the spaceport was quick. New Angeles had rebuilt its transport system better than before. The maglev train hummed softly as it carried her across the city. Other passengers kept their distance. Something about Eliza made people nervous. Maybe it was the way she scanned every room for threats. Maybe it was the visible cybernetics, or maybe they could simply sense that she had seen things they couldn't imagine. Docking Bay 14 was busy with activity when she arrived. The Starlight Envoy wasn't a warship. It was sleek and white, built for speed and comfort rather than battle. Diplomats and officers hurried about preparing for the mission. Eliza showed her ID to the security officers and was directed to her quarters. The room was small but private, a luxury on a spaceship. She had barely set down her bag when there was a knock at her door. A young officer stood there looking nervous. "Lieutenant Winters, the captain would like to see you on the bridge before departure." Eliza nodded and followed the officer through the corridors of the ship. As they walked, she noticed how clean everything was, how untouched by war. It made her feel out of place, like a weapon in a child's bedroom. The bridge was spacious, with a large view screen showing the busy spaceport outside. Captain Laura Chen turned as Eliza entered. Unlike many officers Eliza had served under, Chen had actually seen combat. She had a thin scar that ran from her right ear to her chin. "Lieutenant Winters," Chen said, offering her hand. "Thank you for joining us on such short notice." Eliza shook the captain's hand. "Not like I had much choice, ma'am." Chen's mouth twitched, in what might have been a smile. "No, I suppose not. Do you know why you're here?" "Admiral Harris said something about the Meridians asking for me by name." The captain nodded and lowered her voice. "What she didn't tell you is that the Meridian representative is not just any diplomat. It's Princess Valora herself." Eliza felt her artificial heart skip a beat. "Royalty? They're sending royalty to these talks? It seems they're serious about ending this war," Chen said, "or at least that's what they want us to believe." A warning sounded throughout the ship. Departure was imminent. Captain Chen straightened. "We'll be meeting the Meridian vessel at the neutral zone in 36 hours, she said. "I suggest you prepare yourself, Lieutenant. Whatever reason the Princess has for requesting you specifically, I doubt it's simple diplomacy." As Eliza left the bridge, she caught her reflection in a polished wall panel. The woman staring back was hardly recognizable from the eager young soldier who had enlisted a decade ago. Her face was harder, her eyes colder. Even the way she moved was different. Part human grace, part mechanical precision. She was the perfect symbol of what humanity had become after first contact, adapted, hardened, and forever changed. The starlight. Envoy lifted off smoothly. Through a viewport, Eliza watched as Earth grew smaller behind them. Somewhere out there, the Meridians were coming. And for some reason, they had asked for her by name. As the ship jumped to faster-than-light travel, Eliza made a decision. She would meet this Princess Valora. She would hear what the Meridians had to say, but she would not forget what they had done to her world, to her friends, to her body. And if this was some kind of trap, well, Eliza smiled grimly. The Meridians would learn why she had survived when so many others had not. The diplomatic chamber of the Starlight Envoy was large and bright. Earth officials had decorated it with plants and artwork from both planets. They tried to make it feel welcoming. Eliza thought it felt false. How could a few pretty things erase 8 years of bloody war? She stood at the back of the room watching the human delegation prepare. There were 5 of them. 2 high-ranking military officers, 2 politicians, and 1 scientist. They spoke in low voices, checking their notes and straightening their formal clothes. Captain Chen approached Eliza. "Remember, you're here as an advisor. You don't need to speak unless directly addressed." Eliza nodded. The weight of her pistol at her hip was comforting. The captain had wanted her to leave it behind, but Eliza had refused. If this was a trap, she wouldn't go down unarmed. "They're arriving," someone announced. A hum filled the air. The far wall of the chamber shimmered and then seemed to dissolve. It was a Meridian transport technology that Eliza had seen on the battlefield, but never up close. First came the guards. They were tall, with skin that looked like polished metal in shades of blue and green. Their eyes, 3 on each face arranged in a triangle, scanned the room quickly. Their hands rested on weapons that resembled spears, but could fire energy beams that cut through tank armor. After the guards came advisors, their clothing more elaborate, their movements more graceful. The Meridians that Eliza had fought were soldier caste. These were aristocrats rarely seen by humans. And then she appeared. Princess Valora entered the chamber, and the air seemed to change. She was taller than the others, her body impossibly slender. Her skin shifted colors like an oil slick in sunlight, blues, purples, and greens flowing across her surface. A crown of crystal structures grew from her head, catching the light and breaking it into rainbows. But it was her eyes that made Eliza step back in shock. 3 violet orbs arranged in a perfect triangle, glowing with an inner light. Eyes that Eliza had seen before. Impossible. The princess moved with perfect grace to the center of the room. Her gaze swept across the human delegation, acknowledging each with a slight nod. and then her eyes found Eliza. For a long moment, neither moved. Eliza felt like she couldn't breathe. The princess's skin rippled, changing to a deeper purple. Among meridians, that color meant recognition. Or was it surprise? "Welcome to the Starlight Envoy, Your Highness," Captain Chen said, breaking the silence. "We are honored by your presence." The princess turned to Chen. When she spoke, her voice was like music, soft but clear. "The honor is mine, Captain. Your people have shown courage in this conflict. It is time we spoke as equals." Her English was perfect, without the clicking accent that most Meridians had when speaking human languages. Another surprise. The formalities continued. Names were exchanged. Seats were taken around a large table. Eliza remained standing at the back, her mind racing. There was something about the princess that was familiar in a way that shouldn't be possible. After the initial greetings, the serious talks began. The Meridian advisors presented terms for a ceasefire. The human delegates countered with their own conditions. It was the dance of diplomacy, each side giving a little while trying to gain more. Through it all, Eliza noticed the princess watching her, not constantly but often enough to be noticeable. Once, when a human politician mentioned the Battle of New Mars, the princess's eyes flicked to Eliza as if gauging her reaction. Eliza had been at New Mars. She had lost her arm there. After 2 hours, Captain Chen called for a break. The delegations separated to different sides of the room. Refreshments appeared, human foods on one side, strange glowing fruits and liquids for the Meridians on the other. Eliza was about to slip out of the room when she heard a voice behind her. "Lieutenant Winters." She turned. Princess Valora stood there, without her guards, her 3 eyes focused intently on Eliza's face. "Your Highness?" Eliza replied stiffly. "Or should I call you by your call sign?" the princess asked quietly. "Phantom?" The room seemed to tilt around Eliza. That name. No one on Earth knew that name except those who had served with her on Proxima Station. And they were all dead. "How? Do you know that name?" Eliza demanded, protocol forgotten. The princess glanced around, then stepped closer. Up close, Eliza could see patterns across Valora's skin, shapes that looked like star charts, shifting and changing as if alive. "Because, Eliza," the princess said, switching to perfect English with no formality in her tone, "you saved my life once, and now I've come to return the favor." The words hit Eliza like a physical blow. Recognition flooded through her. Beneath the royal bearing and alien features was the same being Eliza had pulled from the wreckage of a scout ship 10 years ago. The alien she had hidden, healed, and befriended in secret before helping her return home. "Faye?" Eliza whispered, using the nickname she had given the injured alien all those years ago. The princess's skin flashed with bright blue light. Happiness in meridian emotional display. "You remember," she said softly. "But you were..." Eliza struggled to find words. "You weren't royalty. You were a pilot. A scout." "I was in disguise," Valora explained. "Our royal family has a tradition. Before taking official duties, we must explore, learn about other worlds without the protection of our position." Captain Chen was approaching them, looking concerned at the private conversation. "We need to talk," Valora said quickly. "Alone. What happened on Proxima Station? It wasn't what you think. The war, it's not what anyone thinks." "Your Highness," Chen interrupted. "Is everything all right?" Valora turned, her demeanor instantly changing back to formal royalty. "Yes, Captain. I was just telling Lieutenant Winters that I would like her to join a smaller meeting later. There are tactical matters I wish to discuss with a soldier who has faced our forces directly." Chen looked suspicious but nodded. "Of course, I'm sure the lieutenant will be happy to assist." When the captain walked away, Valora leaned close to Eliza again. "My private chambers, on our vessel. Tonight. Use this." She pressed something into Eliza's hand, a small crystal that glowed with inner light. "It will let you pass our security," the princess explained. "Come alone. Trust no one else, Eliza. Not even your own people." Before Eliza could respond, Valora rejoined her delegation. The crystal in Eliza's hand pulsed gently, like a heartbeat. The rest of the day passed in a blur. The talks continued, but Eliza barely heard them. Her mind was trapped in the past, in a secret bunker on Proxima Station, where she had hidden an injured alien from her own people, where she had learned enough of the Meridian language to communicate, where she had made a friend across the stars. And then the attack had come. The station had been destroyed. Eliza had barely escaped. She had assumed Vey had died with everyone else. It was shortly after that the full war began. That night, Eliza stood in her quarters staring at the glowing crystal. Going to the Meridian ship alone was probably a trap. The smart thing would be to report this to Captain Chen, to hand over the crystal for analysis. But if there was even a chance that Violora was really Vey, her friend from before the war, then Eliza had to know what she meant. Had to know the truth about Proxima Station. She slipped the crystal into her pocket and left her quarters. Using her military clearance, she accessed a service corridor that led to a rarely used airlock. From there, it would be a short spacewalk to where the Meridian vessel was docked. As she prepared a spacesuit, Eliza wondered if she was making a terrible mistake. But something in Velora's eyes had seemed genuine. The same kindness Eliza had seen in Vey all those years ago. "I must be losing my mind," Eliza muttered as she sealed her helmet. The spacewalk was quick but tense. The vast emptiness around her brought back memories of battles fought in the void, of friends lost to the cold of space. When she reached the Meridian ship, a small door opened as if expecting her. Inside, the air shimmered as it was tested and adjusted to human needs. Eliza removed her helmet and took a breath. It smelled like flowers and something metallic. A Meridian guard appeared, tall and imposing. Eliza showed the crystal. The guard's eyes flickered, then it stepped aside. The corridors of the alien ship were unlike anything Eliza had seen before. They seemed alive, pulsing with light and changing shape slightly as she passed. It was beautiful and unsettling at the same time. The guard led her to an ornate door that opened at their approach. Inside was a chamber that looked more like a garden than a room. Plants from a dozen worlds grew together in impossible harmony. Water flowed in narrow channels across the floor. The ceiling was transparent, showing the stars above. And there, waiting in the center of it all, was Princess Violora, looking very different from the formal diplomat of earlier. Her royal garments were gone, replaced by a simple covering that resembled what she had worn when Eliza first found her. Her crystal crown had been removed, revealing the more natural crest of her species. "You came," Violora said, her skin glowing with soft blues. "I wasn't sure you would." "I almost didn't," Eliza admitted. "This could still be a trap." "It's not." Violora approached slowly. "It's a rescue mission, for both our species." Eliza frowned. "What do you mean?" "Sit with me, old friend," the princess said, gesturing to what looked like cushions on the floor. "There is much you don't understand about this war, about what really happened on Proxima Station, about the enemy that has been manipulating us all." The air in Vilora's private chamber felt alive, filled with the scent of alien plants and the soft hum of the ship's systems. Eliza sat across from the princess, tension visible in her cybernetic hand, as the fingers flexed unconsciously. "Before I tell you anything," Eliza said, "I need to know one thing. That day on Proxima Station before I helped you leave, what did you give me?" Vilora's skin rippled with patterns of light, a smile in Meridian body language. "A star crystal from my homeworld," she replied. "You said it looked like a flower made of glass and light. You kept it in that old metal box from your grandmother." Eliza's shoulders relaxed slightly. No one could know that detail unless they had been there. This really was Vey, the alien she had befriended before the war. "Okay," Eliza said. "I'm listening." Violora moved her hand in a complex gesture. The room darkened, and a holographic display appeared between them. It showed galaxy maps, battle, reports and images of beings Eliza had never seen before. "The beings you've been fighting for 8 years, Violora began. They aren't Meridians." Eliza frowned. I've seen them up close. I've fought them. They look just like your people. They look like us because they want to, Valora explained. They're called the Void Heralds. They're parasites that infiltrated both our civilizations. Decades ago, the war between our peoples was engineered by them. The hologram shifted to show strange, shadowy creatures with no definite shape. Then it changed to show the same creatures taking on forms that looked almost meridian, almost human. Eliza's military implants automatically scanned Valora, reading her vital signs and stress patterns. According to the data, the princess believed what she was saying. She wasn't lying, or at least, she didn't think she was. If what you're saying is true, Eliza said slowly, then why hasn't anyone discovered these heralds before now? Because they're masters of deception, Valora replied. They replace people in positions of power. They use technology to mask their true nature from sensors, and they ensure that our peoples are too busy fighting each other to notice the real enemy. The hologram changed again, showing the explosion that had destroyed Proxima Station. Eliza flinched at the image. She had barely escaped that disaster. She had nightmares about it still. The attack on Proxima Station wasn't ordered by my people, Valora said softly. It was the Heralds. They wanted to destroy the evidence of our first peaceful contact. They couldn't allow humans and Meridians to know that friendship between us was possible. Eliza's mind raced. If Valora was right, then the entire war had been a cosmic deception. Millions had died on both sides for nothing. Why reveal this to me now? Eliza asked. Why not approach Earth officially with this information? Because there are heralds embedded in your government, just as they are in our conclave. Valora's skin darkened to a deep blue, a sign of sorrow. I needed someone I could trust. Someone who would recognize me despite what I've become. Eliza looked at the princess more carefully. Beyond the royal bearing and formal manner, there was still the curious, kind being she had known briefly all those years ago. What happened to you after you left Proxima Station? Eliza asked. I returned home to find my family suspicious of where I had been, Valora explained. I couldn't tell them about you, not with the tensions already building between our worlds. Soon after, my older sister died in what we thought was an accident. I became heir to the throne. Her third eye closed briefly, a sign of deep grief in Meridian culture. It was only years later that I discovered her death was no accident. By then the war was raging. I've spent the past 3 years gathering evidence, building a secret network of those not infected by the heralds. When I learned you were still alive, I knew I had to find you. Eliza reached out hesitantly, her human hand meeting Valora's alien one. The princess's skin was cool and smooth, with a slight electric tingle. How did you know I survived? This, Valora said, touching Eliza's cybernetic arm. The technology in your enhancements. Some of it isn't human or Meridian. It's herald technology. They experimented on you, Eliza, just as they've experimented on some of my people. Eliza pulled back her sleeve, looking at her artificial limb, with new horror. She had always wondered about some of the strange functions it seemed to have, functions not listed in any military documentation. The doctors said they used experimental tech to save my life, Eliza whispered. I never questioned it. I was just grateful to be alive. The heralds likely planned to use you as an infiltrator, Valora explained. But something went wrong. Perhaps your will was too strong. They lost control of the process. The hologram changed again, showing a complex diagram of both human and Meridian biology, with strange parasitic structures attached to both. They've been studying us, Eliza, learning how to perfect their infiltration. The war has given them the perfect laboratory. Thousands of casualties no one questions, resources diverted to weapons instead of security, and desperate people willing to accept experimental treatments. Eliza stood up and paced the room, her military mind processing this new information. If what Valora said was true, then both civilizations faced an enemy far more dangerous than each other. You said you've been gathering evidence, Eliza said. Show me. All of it. Valora nodded and expanded the hologram. For the next hour, she presented data that painted a disturbing picture, strange energy signatures at key battle sites. Unexplained. Communications between supposedly opposing forces. Autopsy reports of soldiers from both sides showing the same unusual brain alterations, and most damning of all, video footage of human and Meridian officials transforming into something else, when they thought no one was watching, their bodies rippling and changing in ways that defied biology. "That's Admiral Porter," Eliza said, pointing to one of the human figures in the footage. "She's on the Starlight Envoy right now. She's part of the peace delegation." "And she's one of them," Valora confirmed. "Just as 3 members of my delegation are. They don't know I'm aware of their true nature." Eliza's military implants registered the princess's biometrics again, still no signs of deception. The evidence was compelling, terrifying, but compelling. "If this is all true," Eliza said, "what can we possibly do about it? They've infiltrated both our governments. They control our military forces. How do we fight an enemy that's already inside our defenses?" Valora's skin brightened with determination. With this, she removed a small device from a hidden compartment in the floor. It was unlike any technology Eliza had seen before, not human, not Meridian, and not like the Herald tech shown in the holograms either. "This is from the Ancient Ones," Valora explained. "The civilization that came before both of ours. My family has guarded their artifacts for generations. This device can detect the Heralds, no matter what form they take." Eliza took the device, cautiously. It hummed in her hand, responding to her touch. "And once we identify them?" "We expose them," Valora said. "Publicly, simultaneously, on both our worlds. If enough people see the truth at once, the Heralds won't be able to control the narrative." Eliza considered the plan. It was risky, dangerous, possibly suicidal. But if Valora was right, the alternative was the continued destruction of both their species, while a third party watched and waited to claim what remained. "I have a friend," Eliza said finally. "Maya Reeves. She survived Proxima Station 2. She works in Fleet Intelligence now. If anyone can help us get this evidence to the right people on Earth, it's her." Valora's skin pulsed with cautious hope. "Can you trust her?" "With my life," Eliza replied. "We've saved each other too many times for me to doubt her." "Then we have a beginning," Valora said. She stood and approached Eliza, her movements fluid and graceful. "But you should know, once we start this, there's no going back. The Heralds will do anything to stop us." Eliza smiled grimly. "I've been fighting a war for 8 years, Vay. I'm not afraid of making enemies." "Not just enemies," Valora cautioned. "The Heralds will target anyone close to us, anyone who helps us. And they're masters of making deaths look like accidents or enemy action." The warning hung in the air between them. Eliza thought of Maya, of the few friends she had left. Was she willing to put them at risk? But then she thought of the millions who had already died in this false war. Of the millions more who would die if it continued. "How do we contact Maya without alerting the Heralds?" Eliza asked, making her decision. Valora's skin brightened. "I've developed a communication method they can't detect. It uses quantum principles. Your scientists have only begun to explore." She handed Eliza what looked like a small earpiece. "This will let you speak to her directly, mind to mind. No signals to intercept." Eliza took the device skeptically. "Mind to mind? That sounds like magic, not science. To quote one of your human philosophers," Valora said with a flicker of amusement across her skin, "any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic." Eliza placed the device in her ear. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, she felt a strange sensation like someone gently knocking on a door inside her mind. "Think of Maya," Valora instructed. "Focus on her presence, her essence." Eliza closed her eyes and thought of her friend. Of Maya's laugh, her fierce loyalty, the scar on her chin from a training accident they'd shared. And suddenly, impossibly, she felt Maya's presence. Dawn broke over the Starlight Envoy as Eliza slipped through the maintenance tunnels of the ship. Her cybernetic eye switched to infrared mode, letting her see in the dim emergency lighting. She had avoided the main corridors and security checkpoints. After what Vailora had told her, she couldn't trust anyone on board, not even her own people. The quantum communicator in her ear hummed softly. Maya's voice came through, not quite sound, but not quite thought either. "I've confirmed 3 of the names on your list," Maya said. "They've all had unexplained absences from duty, all returned with subtle personality changes." "Admiral Porter?" Eliza asked, thinking the name rather than speaking it. "Yes. She disappeared for 2 weeks last year. Official record says it was for medical treatment, but I can't find any hospital that actually treated her." Eliza paused at a junction, checking for movement before continuing. "Any luck with the data package Vailora sent?" "It's incredible, Eliza. The evidence is all there. Communication patterns between supposed enemies, energy signatures that match nothing in our databases. I've started quietly alerting people I trust. But we need to move carefully. We don't have time for careful," Eliza replied. "The dinner is tonight. According to Vailora, that's when they'll make their move." "I'm working as fast as I can," Maya assured her. "Just be ready when I give the signal." The connection faded as Eliza reached her destination, the ship's quantum array. It was a restricted area, used for secure communications and data analysis. With her military clearance, she could access it, but she needed to avoid being seen. If Admiral Porter was indeed a herald, Eliza's suspicious behavior would be reported immediately. She placed her hand on the security panel. Her cybernetic implants automatically provided the necessary codes. The door slid open silently. The room beyond was filled with humming equipment. Screens displayed data streams and communication logs. It was empty of people, a stroke of luck. Eliza moved quickly to the main console. She needed to verify Vailora's claims independently. With access to the ship's quantum array, she could cross-reference the princess's data against classified battle records without alerting anyone. Her fingers flew across the interface, cybernetic reflexes giving her speed no normal human could match. She uploaded the data crystal Vailora had given her and began running comparisons. The results appeared almost immediately. Battle reports that didn't match official records, communications that shouldn't exist, and most disturbing of all, biological. Scans of the supposedly Meridian attackers that showed subtle differences from the Meridians Eliza had just met on Valora's ship. "Going somewhere, Lieutenant?" The voice froze Eliza in place. She turned slowly, her hand instinctively moving toward her pistol. Admiral Kate Porter stood in the doorway, her uniform perfect, her posture rigid. But there was something wrong with her eyes. They didn't blink enough, and her skin had a strange, waxy quality to it. "Admiral," Eliza said, trying to sound calm, "I was just running some analyses on Meridian battle tactics, preparing for the diplomatic dinner tonight." Porter stepped into the room, the door sliding shut behind her. "In a restricted area, without authorization? I find that hard to believe." "I have clearance," Eliza said, taking a step back. "Yes, you do," Porter agreed. "But you don't have a reason to be here. Not a legitimate one anyway." She smiled, her teeth too perfect, too white. "I had such hopes for this reunion, the princess reconnecting with her human pet." Eliza's combat implants surged to life, analyzing Porter's weaknesses, calculating odds. "You know about that." "We know everything, Lieutenant Winters. We've been watching you both for years." Porter moved closer, her movements too smooth, too precise. "Humans and Meridians are so predictable, so guided by emotion. The princess couldn't resist seeking out her old friend, and you couldn't resist her call." "You're one of them," Eliza said flatly, "a void herald." Porter's smile widened. "Very good. Did Vailora tell you that? Did she also tell you how futile your resistance is? We've been among both species for millennia, guiding your evolution toward this moment." Eliza's hand tightened on her pistol, guiding us into destroying each other. "War is such an efficient way to harvest resources," Porter said, as if explaining something to a child, including biological ones. Your dead feed our young. Your fear strengthens our connection to this reality. You won't get away with it, Eliza said. We know what you are now. We can expose you. Porter laughed, the sound wrong somehow, like it was being produced mechanically. To whom? Your leaders? Ours are already replaced. Your military? We control the command structure. She moved closer, her form shifting slightly, skin rippling unnaturally beneath her uniform. The ceasefire ends today, Porter continued. When your princess dies aboard a human vessel, the Meridians will obliterate your homeworld, and what remains of humanity will be our cattle, our breeding stock, our food. Eliza drew her pistol, in one fluid motion, cybernetic reflexes giving her inhuman speed, but before she could fire, Porter's arm elongated impossibly, knocking the weapon from her hand. You can't fight us, Lieutenant, Porter said, her voice distorting as her body began to change. We are evolution itself. Eliza backed up against the console, looking for anything she could use as a weapon. Her cybernetic system scanned the room, identifying potential tools, escape routes, weaknesses in the creature before her. Suddenly the door slid open. Porter turned, her body still mid-transformation. A blade of crystalline material suddenly protruded from Porter's chest. Behind her stood Valora, her royal garments discarded for battle armor that conformed to her body like living metal. You underestimated our bond, Valora said coldly as Porter collapsed, her form dissolving into writhing tendrils, just as your kind always underestimates love. The mass that had been Admiral Porter shuddered and tried to reform. Valora pressed a small device against it. There was a high-pitched whine, and the creature dissolved into dust. Eliza stared at her friend in shock. You followed me? Always, Valora replied, her skin glowing with determination. I sensed your danger through our connection. The quantum communicator links us in ways even the heralds don't understand. Eliza looked down at the pile of dust on the floor. That was too easy. That was just one of them, Valora said grimly. And not a powerful one. The stronger heralds will be harder to kill. She moved to the console where Eliza had been working. Did you find what you needed? Yes, Eliza confirmed. Your data checks out. The battle records, the biological scans, it all matches. The war really is a deception. Then we have proof, Valora said. But we need to act quickly. With Porter dead, the other heralds will know something is wrong. Eliza retrieved her pistol and checked that it was still functional. Porter said something about the princess. Dying on a human vessel, that's you. They're planning to kill you here and blame humans, while simultaneously killing the human delegation on my ship and blaming Meridians, Valora finished. A classic strategy, turn allies against each other. The quantum communicator in Eliza's ear activated again. Maya's voice came through, urgent and clear. Eliza, the heralds are moving. They've activated some kind of device on both ships. Energy signatures are spiking everywhere. They're starting early, Eliza told Valora. Maya says they've activated devices on both ships. Valora's skin paled to a light blue, the Meridian equivalent of alarm. Bombs. They're going to destroy both vessels and blame survivors from each side. We have 12 hours before the dinner, Eliza said. Why move now? Because they know we've discovered them, Valora replied. Porter must have alerted the others before confronting you. Eliza connected with Maya again. Can you locate the devices? Working on it, Maya replied. The energy signature is unlike anything in our databases. I'm having trouble pinpointing the sources. Eliza relayed this to Valora, who nodded grimly. I can help with that, the princess said. She removed a small crystal from her armor and placed it on the console. This will enhance your ship's sensors, allowing them to detect herald technology. The crystal glowed, interfacing with the human systems. The displays changed, showing new data streams. It's working, Maya's voice came through. I'm picking up 5 devices on the Starlight Envoy, 3 more on the Meridian vessel. We need to split up, Eliza said. I'll handle the devices on this ship. You return to yours and deal with the ones there. Valora hesitated. The heralds will be watching for us now. Going alone is dangerous. We don't have a choice, Eliza replied. There's no one else we can trust. Before Valora could respond, the ship's alarms began to blare. A computerized voice announced, "Security breach in Section 7. All personnel, to battle stations. Possible Meridian infiltration detected." They're framing me already, Valora said, her skin rippling with anger. Creating the narrative for when they destroy the ships. Eliza made a quick decision. The maintenance tunnels. I can get you back to your ship without being seen. Then I'll deal with the devices here. They moved quickly, Eliza leading the way, through the narrow passages that ran through the heart of the Starlight Envoy. Her cybernetic eye guided them through the darkness, avoiding patrols and security systems. As they moved, Maya continued to provide updates through the quantum communicator. The command deck of the Meridian flagship Eternal Radiance was eerily silent as Eliza stood before the Alien War Council. Her uniform was torn and burned, blood, both human and something else, dried on her skin. Beside her, Violora looked equally, battle-worn, her royal armor dented and her skin pulsing with exhausted light patterns. The past 24 hours had been the most intense of Eliza's life. After disabling the bombs on the Starlight Envoy, she had fought her way to Valora's ship, using her newly discovered cybernetic weapons to cut through heralds that no longer bothered to hide their true nature. She had found Valora surrounded, fighting with a grace and ferocity Eliza had never imagined the princess possessed. Together they had eliminated the last of the infiltrators on the Meridian vessel and stopped the reality-tearing devices just minutes before detonation. But that was only the beginning. The Herald's false messages had already reached both fleets. Human and Meridian warships were moving into attack positions, ready to reignite the war on a scale that would leave both civilizations in ruins. Now, standing before the suspicious Meridian leaders, Eliza felt the weight of billions of lives on her shoulders. These beings had been her enemies for 8 years. They had killed her friends, destroyed her body, and she had killed countless of their soldiers in return. Yet here she stood, a human in the heart of Meridian power, trying to convince them that everything they believed about the war was a lie. "The human Eliza Winters is not our enemy," Valora declared to the assembled leaders. Her voice carried the authority of royal blood, enhanced by the translator that converted her words to the higher Meridian language. "She is Meridian friend, life debt holder, and my personal guardian." The formal titles sent murmurs through the council. In Meridian culture, such designations were sacred, unbreakable bonds. "You vouch for this human with your crown, princess?" asked First Minister Kallax, his skin dark with skepticism. "After 8 years of human treachery?" "There was no treachery," Valora replied. "Not from humans, not from us. We have all been deceived." She gestured, and the holographic display in the center of the command deck activated. It showed the evidence they had gathered, the neural recordings from Eliza's implants playing alongside Valora's royal memories, revealing the same shadowy figures orchestrating attacks on both species. "These are the Void Heralds," Valora explained. "They have existed among us for generations, pushing us toward conflict while they prepared for invasion." The council members watched in silence as the evidence unfolded. Images of Admiral Porter transforming into her true form, footage of the Herald's reality distortion devices, biological scans showing how the parasites integrated with host bodies. One of the council members, an older Meridian with faded skin patterns, leaned forward. "If what you show us is true, then our greatest war has been against a phantom enemy." "Not a phantom," Eliza said, speaking for the first time. The translator, at her throat, converted her words to the musical Meridian language. "A puppeteer. The Heralds wanted us to destroy each other while they waited in the shadows." "Why?" demanded another council member. "What purpose does our mutual destruction serve?" "Resources," Valora answered. "Biological matter. The Heralds feed on death. They use the energy of dying civilizations to open doorways for more of their kind. Meanwhile, across the void, Similar evidence was being presented to Earth Security Council by Maya Reeves, the only other survivor of Proxima Station, who had been in deep cover within fleet intelligence. Through their quantum connection, Eliza could sense the resistance and gradual acceptance happening in that distant chamber. The Meridian First Minister's skin rippled with complex patterns: doubt, anger, realization. If this is true, Princess, then we have been fighting the wrong enemy for 8 years. Billions have died needlessly. Not needlessly, Eliza said. The heralds consumed those deaths, used them. Every battle fed their strength. Before the council could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. A Meridian officer rushed onto the command deck. First Minister, our sensors detect energy surges throughout the fleet, both our vessels and the human ships. It's as if something is activating. The heralds fail safe, Valora said, her skin paling. They've triggered their remaining devices. The main view screen changed to show the combined fleets. Points of light were appearing on ships throughout both groups, energy signatures growing in intensity. They're trying to maintain the deception, Eliza shouted over the blaring alarms. If they can trigger enough destruction now, both sides will blame each other despite our evidence. The First Minister turned to his officers. Send emergency shutdown commands to all vessels. Priority Alpha. It won't be enough, Valora said. The heralds have planned for this. Those devices are designed to operate independently of ship systems. Through her quantum link, Eliza could hear Maya saying almost the same words to Earth's leaders. Time was running out. There may be a way, Eliza said suddenly. My cybernetics. The heralds modified me during my captivity. I've discovered I can neutralize their technology. But you can't reach all those ships in time, the First Minister objected. I don't have to, Eliza replied. Valora's ancient device, the one that lets us communicate quantum entangled. If we can boost its signal, broadcast it through both fleets. Then you could send the neutralizing energy to all ships at once, Valora finished, her skin brightening with hope. It could work, but the broadcast would have to come from a central point between the fleets. The peace station, Eliza said. It's positioned at the midpoint. The First Minister shook his head. The station is small, with limited power. You would need something to amplify the signal exponentially. Valora and Eliza looked at each other, the same realization dawning in both their minds. The reality distortion devices, Valora said. If we modify one, we could use its energy to power the broadcast. But that would be incredibly dangerous, one of the council members objected. Those devices are designed to tear holes in reality. Modifying one could create an uncontrolled reaction. We don't have a choice, Eliza said firmly. Either we try this, or we watch both our civilizations burn. The First Minister studied them both, his 3 eyes blinking in the Meridian expression of deep thought. Finally, he nodded. Go. Take whatever resources you need. We will try to buy you time by evacuating as many ships as possible. As Eliza and Valora hurried from the command deck, Maya's voice came through their quantum link. Earth's Security Council is convinced. They're ordering our fleet to stand down. But the heralds have locked out command systems on half our vessels. The devices are still building power. We're heading to the peace station, Eliza replied. We need one of the reality distortion devices. Can you get one to us? There's one here that we've contained. I'll bring it myself. Valora led Eliza to a small, sleek shuttle. Unlike the larger Meridian vessels, this one was designed for speed and stealth. This was my scout ship, the princess explained as they boarded. Before I became heir to the throne. It will get us to the station quickly. As they launched from the eternal radiance, Eliza got her first clear view of the combined fleets. Hundreds of vessels from both civilizations arranged in battle formations, now desperately trying to power down systems as the Herald devices activated. Already, several smaller ships were showing signs of distress, power fluctuations, erratic movements. The devices were beginning to affect ship systems. How much time do we have? Eliza asked. Minutes, Valora replied, her hands dancing over the ship's controls. Maybe less. The peace station grew larger in their viewport. It was a simple structure, built hastily for the diplomatic meetings, a neutral ground between two warring peoples. Now it would serve a different purpose. They docked with barely controlled haste. As they raced inside, Eliza saw Maya's shuttle approaching from the Earth fleet. The station was deserted, all personnel having evacuated when the alarms began. Vailora led the way to the central communications hub, a circular room filled with both human and Meridian technology, hastily integrated to allow the peace talks to function. Maya arrived minutes later, carrying a containment unit. Inside was one of the Herald devices, its surface pulsing with otherworldly energy. "It's still active," she warned as she set it down, "but the containment field is holding it in a pre-detonation state." The three of them worked frantically, Vailora providing the ancient knowledge needed to modify the quantum broadcaster, Eliza, using her Herald-given cybernetics to interface with the device, and Maya coordinating with both fleets to ensure the signal would reach every ship. "The devices across the fleets are reaching critical levels," Maya reported, checking a data stream. "We have maybe 3 minutes before the first detonations." Eliza connected the final components, linking her cybernetic arm directly to the modified broadcaster. "This is going to hurt," she said grimly. "Wait," Vailora said, placing her hand on Eliza's arm. "The energy required. Your cybernetics weren't designed for this kind of power. It could kill you." Eliza smiled slightly. "Then I'll die saving both our worlds instead of helping destroy one of them. Seems like a fair trade." "No," Vailora said firmly. Her skin glowed with intense patterns of determination. "We do this together.